BMW front row, and that should just give the advantage to Johnny Cecotto. He starts alongside Alfred Hago in the Schneider Motorsport BMW. Well, there is my colleague Thomas Voigt for the German channel, talking directly to Hans Stuck on this warm-up lap, so technology rules okay, and we can just hear Hans talking there as he heads towards the Castrol chicane, the first corner, which is where this race could be won or lost. We're using just the little 3-kilometre version of the new Nurburgring, really very much an inferior track in my view to the old original Nurburgring, but we heard Johnny Cecotto say he really feels it isn't safe anymore, even for these touring cars. Do still have the 24-hour Nurburgring touring car race around here as a game. We look at Hans Stuck describing this course. He's now at an area they call the Bit Curve. You remember the Nürburgring used to have some very emotive names which are so big in motor racing history. Names like the Flugplatz and Oudenau Bridge, and of course Doetinger Ho and the Carousel. Well, the names of these corners are things like the Bit Curve and the Vidal chicane and the Coca-Cola curve. There is the front row of the grid, Hager and Cecotto. On the second row, the two rock-prepared Audis of Frank Bieler and Emanuele Pirro. Row 3, Patrick Bernhard, the youngster in the Audi, and the veteran Hans-Joachim Stuck. On row 4, Michael Bartels in the best of the Nissans. They've got new engines for this race, and Dindo Capello, the Italian. Then on row 5, Alexandra Bergstaller and Joachim Winkelhock, Smoking Joe. Then Frank Engstler and Peter Cox, they're both fairly new to the series. Bruno Eichmann in his Mondeo, out-qualifying Marcus Osterreich. Klaus Panchers, the Polish-born driver, and Thierry Boutsen well down the grid. Marco Werner in the Opel, and Ivan Capelli having problems with his Nissan. Then on row 10, Yolanda Sura and Philipp Muller, the Swiss, having his first race of the season with a Toyota Carina. On row 11, a Mitsubishi Lancer, and then the Czech driver, and bringing up the rear, Michael Hagert in the BMW. It's got all the different currencies painted all over the car. So just seconds to go now. 31 laps of this 3-kilometre circuit, and as we said, it could all be decided on that first Castrol S, that first corner. A lot at stake here. Two big German manufacturers entertaining a lot of guests, major hospitality going on, and a great deal at stake. Audi, of course, won the Italian Touring Car Championship just a week ago. Emanuele Pirro clinching that title. Emanuele telling us a little while ago how happy he is with Audi. They go in car again with Hans Stuck, and the famous stars around that blue crash helmet. Hans Stuck, of course, a man who has been racing for over 20 years, a twice winner of Le Mans, and a former champion of the German DTM series. Well, engines revving, lights are red, and who's going to get the jump? On your left-hand side, and a great start from the Audi. Just look at that. Absolutely fantastic start from Emanuele Pirro. And it looks to me very much as if Pirro has got the jump on the two BMWs. And in fact, generally a very good start for all the Audis. A lot of it, and Frank Bieler pushed right back. Frank Bieler definitely in trouble. His championship hopes already damaged. But in the lead, just trying to check out these Audis. You have to note the markings on the windscreens as all those cars go through that Castrol chicane. A year ago I went through there in the gravel in an Escort Cosworth as a co-driver on a rally. That was quite exciting. Here is Johnny Cecotto, but out in front, I've got a sneaking suspicion it might even be Hans Stuck. In fourth place, Frank Bieler. So, look at that. Wonderful in-car pictures. And Johnny Cecotto, and you see them, they bump there. My goodness me, Hans Stuck goes for a spin with the in-car camera playing, and Frank Bieler certainly making up some of the lost grounds as they come at the end of this first lap. And it is indeed Emanuele Pirro has an absolutely massive lead over Johnny Cecotto. So the new Italian touring car champion, after making that magnificent start, Emanuele Pirro is, as I said, in the lead. Johnny Cecotto is second. Alfred Hager is third. Frank Bieler is down in fourth place. Stuck is fifth, despite that big moment. Joachim Winkelhock is sixth. Then it's Alex Bergstaller, Patrick Bernhardt, then Ivan Capelli and Peter Cox completing the top 10, but that's all likely to change And Johnny Cecotto has the red marks on the front of his BMW, and if it stays like this, then Cecotto will win the championship. Well, they all got through that first corner, and there we have Alfred Hager in third place, making life very difficult for Frank Bieler. Goes all up wide on the curb, and they are neck and neck for third place. Frank Bieler knows that the only way he can win this series is to get up on terms with a second place man. Alfred Hager can help his BMW teammate, and Hager has the inside line there, and Hager retains his third place, but is completely out of control. But he goes wide and somehow hangs on to it. They go grass cutting at that corner. Lots of opposite locking, and one of the Audis goes spinning. What was that? That's Hans Stuck. So what a hectic race for Hans Stuck. Put my teeth back in. Exciting action here at the Nurburgring. And there is Hans Stuck straddled on that curb. That is Alfred Hager, and after 2 laps, the gap between Pirro and Cecotto, a whole 3.15 seconds. Alfred Hager is in third place. So, at the moment, it's going Cecotto's way, and Bieler needs to find his way round Alfred Hager, the man from Essen, the family man with 3 kids, and Alfred Hager on Dunlop tyres, as are the Audis, whereas the leading driver in the BMW, Johnny Cecotto, is on Michelin's. Pirro, Cecotto, Hager, Bieler, Bergstaller. Well, Alfred Hager certainly earning his money for a BMW. He's making his BMW nice and wide and holding back the Audi. The Audi now, no chance there to look down the inside of Frank Bieler, the 30-year-old Monaco-based driver, former champion in France. And this was just the situation that Frank Bieler feared. Frank Bieler goes out wide again, see if he can get past Alfred Hager. And it looks as if he's done it now. But they are still neck and neck. But the line goes to the German in the yellow marked Audi. It is, of course, Frank Bieler. So Frank Bieler in third place, and now he has to make up all the 4.5 seconds on Johnny Cecotto. Emanuele Pirro, well, it really won't affect the championship. He can't win it unless he wins the race, and even then he needs the leading 2 contenders in the series to finish 7th or lower. That is the equation at the moment, as we see a replay of the passing manoeuvre with Frank Bieler getting in front there of Alfred Hager. Hans Stuck's car now in the pits, receiving some attention, and not a very good picture that, but that's what you're seeing. And Bergstaller also in the pit, so Bergstaller had a problem, so he's dropped back, and the order now: Pirro, Cecotto, Bieler, Hager. They just complete the 4th lap. Winkelhock in 5th spot, then Capelli, then Cox, then Osterreich. Thierry Boutsen's moved up to 9th place, and Marco Werner is 10th in the Opel. That car improving, but not enough. The gap now between Emanuele Pirro and Johnny Cecotto reduced to 2.5 seconds. And the gap between Cecotto and Bieler, 5.1 seconds. I'll be interested to see if Bieler can close on Johnny Cecotto. Johnny Cecotto does have that breathing space now. His pits and Mark Surer will be telling him. There's Hans Stuck. Hans has been through such difficult times lately. His wife has been dangerously ill, of course, but she is now recovering, I'm pleased to say. So good luck to Hans and to his wife Regina. But no luck for him today. Here is Bieler in 3rd place, and very quick laps here. They're lapping just in the 1 minute 11.9 mark. That's the quickest lap of the race so far to Johnny Cecotto, currently in 2nd place, but if he can maintain that, he will be the champion. And quick interview in German there with Hans Stuck to ask him what happened.
Na gut, so kann man auch Rennen gewinnen, wie Cecotto das gemacht hat. Man kann auch irgendwo reinfahren, wo kein Platz ist, einen in die Wiese schicken. Das nächste Mal weiß, das nächste Mal schießt ich ihn ab, hundertprozentig.
Well, my German's not too good, but I don't think that Hans was too impressed with that. And got the feeling he was blaming... well, I'm not quite sure he was blaming, but he was certainly blaming someone. He's a very happy-go-lucky chap, his Hans, and one of the best guys in the paddock you can interview. But, of course, in the heat of the moment there, he's far from impressed with what went on. So there is Cecotto, and you see the long, long gap there back to Biela. Biela has pulled out from Alfred Hager on this lap number 6. But he can see that championship starting to slip away. He's got to get his head down. He's really got to try and reel off some quick laps now and try to close up on Johnny Cecotto. Cecotto won't be too worried about Emanuele Pirro. He'll let him go. Pirro's last lap for 1 minute 12.38. Cecotto did a 1 minute 12.21, so just a fraction quicker. And Biela lapping in 1:12.7, so losing some time there. Klaus Panches, incidentally, is also out of the race. Not a happy season for the man who went so well in the Halifax Formula 3000 race earlier in the year. Mainly a single-seater protagonist. Talking to Klaus last night, tells me he intends to carry on in this series, which should see over 30 cars next year. They're predicting over 30 cars and even 10, as many as 10 of these Audi competition 80s. Four-wheel drive, of course, the Audi, 25 laps to go. Two-wheel, rear-wheel drive for the BMWs. And Cecotto skipping it over the curbs and definitely closing on Emanuele Pirro. My computer tells me the gap is now 1.8. My eyes tell me as they cross the start-finish line just in front of me that the gap is smaller than that. There's the pit signal. Johnny, position 2, minus 1.8, and some other information too. And there, the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place. There's Frank Biela. The gap between him and Johnny Cecotto has now been reduced to 6.26 seconds, but that's a fair margin. And the fastest man currently on the race track is Johnny Cecotto. And just saw the rear of the Audi there with new style rear wings. Of course, the aerodynamic package has been the big story of this championship. Audi walking away with the first 2 rounds with a aerodynamic package, including rear wings like you see there on the Nissan. Only on the Audis, because they were clever enough to homologate it onto the cars. But Audi had such superiority that the ADAC, who organised this championship, took the decision to allow everyone to run to 1995 rules, which allow these kind of wings, and indeed that's what everyone did. Also, it included a weight change, which meant that the BMW was suddenly competitive again in this series. Hence, Johnny Cecotto was able to close up in the championship on the early lead made by Frank Biela. And so we go into this 8th and final round here at the Nurburgring with the series title very, very finely balanced, although at the moment it is going BMW and Cecotto's way. But the gap now is about 6 seconds between Cecotto and Biela. The gap between the leader, Emanuele Pirro, and Johnny Cecotto is 1.33 seconds. Up on the curb. There is Frank Biela with a bit of bodywork flapping. I don't think the scrutineers will be too worried about that. Looks in a fairly stable condition. So, the leader Pirro, 2nd Cecotto, 3rd Biela, 4th Hager, 5th Winkelhock, 6th Capelli, 7th Peter Cox, 8th Marcus Osterreich, 9th Thierry Boutsen, and now moving up to 10th place after a problem at the beginning is Dindo Capello, the Italian, who raced Volkswagen Golfs a lot, indeed won the Italian Touring Car Championship about 3 years ago. Frank Biela there, just behind him. You see Alfred Hager. Behind Alfred Hager, Smoking Joe Winkelhock with some damage to the front of the car. And then Alex Bergstaller has rejoined a lap behind. So after 10 of the 31 laps, it's Pirro with that small 1.3 second lead after in front of Johnny Cecotto. But I have no doubt that Pirro will try and maintain this lead, even if Audi don't win the championship. They'd like to win the race here in front of a crowd estimated at around 35,000. This ADAC Touring Car Cup very much challenging the DTM series for the Class 1 2.5 litre cars. It's much cheaper to run cars in this series, and most people in Germany see the future of touring car racing in Germany going this 2 litre route, in line with the rest of the world, of course. 2 litre Japanese race being held today. Steve Soper of Britain racing out there for BMW. BMW have an absolutely amazing world program with this 318i car, a 4-door car, because this series does call for 4-door cars. Of course, there is a coupe version of this BMW. But Audi looking very impressive. Emanuele Pirro there maintaining the lead, the man who raced the Benetton, raced for the BMS team also. Emanuele Pirro, top contender in Formula 3000 for a number of years, and a very pleasant man. Married to a lawyer, Marlena, who stayed at home this weekend. And there is Cecotto, and of course Johnny would love to go out with a victory. The series creeping ever closer. Series victory creeping ever closer to Johnny Cecotto, but I'm sure he'd like to take the title with a victory. Now we go in car with Alex Bergstaller, and the leading contenders in the championship declined having a camera in their car. The curse of the camera we all know about. Just see that puff of smoke coming up off the car in front of Bergstaller. Bergstaller, of course, a lap behind. But there, the leader, Emanuele Pirro, had many successes with BMW over the years, particularly in races in the Southern Hemisphere. Won at places like Wellington, Macau, Pukekohe. And a guy that, as you heard earlier on the tape, saying just how much he enjoyed racing for Audi. In fact, saying that this has been his best season so far, the season he's most enjoyed. Still battles going on here between the two Mondeos. It's and Audi getting in between them, and Marcus Osterreich there being deposed by Dindo Capello, and Thierry Boutsen having moved in front of Marcus Osterreich. Marcus Osterreich, of course, the man who raced for Mercedes-Benz in trucks last year, and had to give his best to the Briton Steve Parrish, who's having a sensational season again in trucks. This is a series that Steve would very much like to do, I think. But there is Cecotto, Johnny Cecotto in the factory-prepared BMW, getting ever closer to Emanuele Pirro. The race now heading towards half distance, and as we go into the second section of this event, we will see tyres playing a big part. This track's not particularly abrasive, still it's quite a long race, and there may have been the odd gamble on tyres. Of course, teams don't reveal that to you. So to recap on the positions, it is Emanuele Pirro in the lead, Johnny Cecotto second, Frank Bieler fourth, Alfred Hager is in fourth place, and in fifth spot is Joachim Winkelhoff. Audi lead the race, and they're just starting to go past some of the back markers. This is the battle for the lead. Johnny Cecotto looking very likely now to clinch the title, lying in second place, would like to get past that man, Emanuele Pirro, and take the lead of the motor race and win this series in style. Frank Bieler now is 8 seconds behind this pair Mark Surrey in the inset, being interviewed by our German colleagues about the progress so far. He knows that no motor race is won until it's finished, so the series isn't over yet. Anything can happen, mechanical failure. We saw some problems at Spa. It could happen here at this very smooth Nurburgring track as Cecotto gets closer and closer to Emanuele Pirro as they soon start to work their way through the traffic. Up on the curbs, and Pirro using a lot more of the racetrack than Johnny Cecotto. Now, well, half a car's length between them, and Johnny Cecotto, I think, will start to attack. They come up behind the Mitsubishi of the Swiss driver Hollinger. He keeps well over to the left, and they nip past Hollinger, who is currently in 18th spot. And perhaps Emanuele Pirro, because he really is a thinking racing driver, can slow down Johnny Cecotto and help his teammate Frank Biela. Just has to make that Audi a little wide, and I'm sure that all that is going through Emanuele's mind at this moment. Can I help my teammate? Can I just slow Johnny Cecotto down without actually balking him, by just making it difficult to get past and just bringing the pace down that little bit? So, an interesting tactical situation here. Just watch what Pirro does. Of course, if he's totally blatant about it, Ali Schatz, the clerk of the course here, might just get the old black flag out. Past the curbing they go. And Audi had new engines at the previous race with some more power. Johnny Cecotto has got the latest BMW engine, which most of the other drivers don't have, and that engine is almost square in its bore-to-stroke ratio for the engineers out there amongst you. Quite a different bore-to-stroke ratio compared with the regular BMW motors, which are running in the championships in the rest of the world. This is something of an experimental engine. It's been run all season by Cecotto and by Bergstaller. BMW, of course, using a number of different teams to run these cars. Cecotto in what is effectively the full factory team. The Schnitzer team, who are the best-known preparers of BMWs, do not have a car running in this series. They've been contesting the British and Japanese series. There is that rare Mitsubishi, and here is the third-place man, the man who lies second in the championship, 1 point down, Frank Biela. And well, you saw Johnny Cecotto now going for the lead, and they almost touch. And Emanuele Pirro won't give in easily, but I think that Cecotto just has the edge. What's it like on top speed? We hold our breath to see what happens here, and Emanuele Pirro just managed to sneak ahead. That was into the Castrol chicane at the end of the 3/4 of a kilometre main straight. So a tremendous battle for the lead here. Johnny Cecotto has to be careful, because he does know that if he makes a mistake and clashes with Pirro, it could take him out of the championship. He will win the championship if he stays second here. He is watching in his rear view mirror for Frank Biela, who has closed up a little bit. The gap now between them, 6.8 seconds. So Emanuele Pirro doing a fine job here. Just gone past the halfway mark. And there is the third place man. If my eyes don't deceive me, he has closed up, and that gap is now less than 6 seconds. Exciting motor racing here at the Nurburgring. So Johnny Cecotto probably bide his time a little bit. Comes out onto the start-finish straight past the new Dorint Hotel on the site where the famous old wooden grandstands, the huge wooden grandstands were. Although this is the new Nurburgring, this the section past the pits is original racetrack. It's about the only bit that is left of the fine Nordschleife. Well, 5.27 seconds the gap now. It has closed up between Cecotto and Biela. This championship could go right down to the final few laps. There is Biela. 30-year-old originally from Neuss, the 93 French touring car champion, the 91 DTM champion. Biela's car prepared by the ROC organisation, Fred Stolder in Annecy in France, so a German car prepared in France, and the engineers talked to Frank Biela in English. Still this tremendous battle for the lead of the race. Johnny Cecotto has to be so careful. Coming on to the start-finish line, just past my commentary position here in this huge new grandstand of a complex that costs something like 55 million Deutschmarks to build. And all the time that Cecotto cannot get past Emanuele Pirro, Frank Biela is closing up. Johnny will know that. Just look at our picture now. See if we just can catch a glimpse of Frank Biela coming out of the corner. Indeed, we just did for a fraction of a second. The gap on the computer now officially 5.1 seconds. And waiting in the pits. What's this all about? Well, it's Mark Surer, and he looks to me as if he might be walking up to have a discussion with the clerk of the course, feeling that there's unfair tactics going on as Johnny Cecotto has another go to try and get past Pirro, and they almost touch there. Well, Mark Surer has now walked behind the pits, and in my view, what's going on at the moment is perfectly fair, as Cecotto has another go at getting past, but we know the Audi is a tiny bit fair, and they touch, and oh, and they both go off. Amazing stuff, absolutely amazing stuff. Get back on the track, and well, Cecotto got the lead in that daring manoeuvre there. I'm sure we'll see it in replay in just a second. But has Cecotto damaged his tyres? He'll have dirt on his tyres now. He'll have picked dirt up and maybe lost a little bit of grip. But Cecotto leading the race from Emanuele Pirro. Frank Biela now close to within 4 3/4 seconds. Here we see it. Mirrors touching, bodywork just kissing each other, and the Mitsubishi getting in the way. And that really was what caused the problem. There you see Pirro was able to stay on the track, where Johnny Cecotto went flying over the gravel there. Well, Cecotto seems to have benefited from that manoeuvre. No one to blame there. Mitsubishi perhaps could have got out of the way a bit easier. And so the order at the end of lap number 20. Johnny Cecotto leads. Emanuele Pirro is in second place. Frank Biela is third. Alfred Hager is fourth. Manfred Winkelhock is fifth. Capelli is sixth. Capello is seventh. Peter Cox is eighth. Buxton is ninth. And Marcus Osterreich is in 10th place. So, this championship is certainly not over yet. Johnny Cecotto leads. There is Emanuele Pirro. Frank Biela has closed right up because time was lost in that incident at the chicane. Now, less than 3 seconds separating you. You see the three leaders there all together. Certainly, Emanuele Pirro will be able to help Frank Biela. He will wave him past when Frank gets close enough, give him a good slipstream, and then we might see if Frank Biela can attack Johnny Cecotto. Then it really will be head-to-head for this inaugural title for the German Touring Car Cup, this new European series. They call it the German Touring Car Cup. We've had races in Austria, we've had races in Holland, and we've had races in Belgium. There's Cecotto, the red markings on the mirrors and the windscreen strip. Chasing after him, Emanuele Pirro. And then Frank Biela. Frank Biela knows now it's possible. Mark Surer being interviewed.
Also erstmal hatte Pirro den Johnny 2 Sekunden in der Rundenzeit aufgehalten. Und zum Zweiten hatte Pirro den Johnny auf der Geraden touchiert. Das sind total unfaire Manöver.
Vor dem Rennen gab es demonstrativ Schildkämpfe zwischen ihnen beiden.
Mark Surer, they're very unhappy about Emanuele Pirro's driving. Biela still with that rear bodywork hanging down. There's nothing to worry about.
Der fragt Dr. Ulrich, wie das Ganze sieht.
Ja, wir haben den Dr. Ulrich
hier und der ist natürlich bestimmt auch nicht besonders
And
angenehm berührt
also
von den
interviews
Manövern
with
von Johnny
Dr.
Cecotto. Wie
Ulrich,
haben Sie denn das gesehen, Herr
Dr.
Ulrich?
Wolfgang Ulrich, who's head of Audi Sport.
Cecotto und Piro, die Manöver waren hart, aber es war Motorsport. Ich würde nicht sagen, dass da irgendwas
He
Unfaires
of course thinks that that's just motor racing, as well he would. So although usually you see Dr. Ulrich and Mark Surer in friendly chats, I think there might be a bit of heated conversation after this one. Obviously it will depend on the outcome. But now we have a BMW which has been lapped getting in the way, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens now, as Frank Biela is just 3 seconds behind Johnny Cecotto. There's Cecotto, and there is Frank Biela. And it's Alex Bergstaller who is about to be lapped. Bergstaller being a teammate BMW, because he can now make it difficult for the Audis. So, very intriguing situation. In fact, it isn't Bergstaller, my mistake, it's the Czechoslovakian driver, so he's really not into the spirit of this thing. And this lap 23, and as I said, still everything to play for. Biela doing everything he can to try and get on terms with Johnny Cecotto. He's got his teammate Emanuele Pirro just in front of him. Just got a shot there into the cockpit. Frank Biela wearing an open face helmet, try and get a bit more air around him in the hot confines of the Audi cockpit. There is Emanuele Pirro. There is Frank Biela. Laps, so really the time running out now for Frank Biela if he's going to snatch this title from under the nose of Johnny Cecotto. There is Cecotto, the man who as a teenager came from Venezuela and just staggered the motorcycling world. In his first full year on the World Championship motorcycle scene, he won the 350 World Championship. That was way back in the 70s, 1978 to be exact, no, 1975 to be exact. He won the 750 World Championship in 1978. Subsequently drove for the Tolman Grand Prix team, but was badly injured in an accident at Brands Hatch, which ended his single-seater career. But since then, he's been a major player in touring car racing. Johnny Cecotto, parents from Italy, born in Venezuela, in Caracas, now makes his home in Treviso, Italy. And this trio at the front have pulled some 20-odd seconds out on the rest of the field, which is led by Alfred Hager, with Ivan Capelli in the Nissan just holding off Capello, the other Italian in the Audi. The gap now, 2.4 seconds between Cecotto and Pirro, a very useful buffer, and still Frank Biela unable to really make up the deficit even on teammate Pirro. Cecotto has the fastest lap at 1:11.98, that was on lap number 5. We are much further into the race now, the closing stages. The camera foreshortens the view, shows that Frank Biela is a little closer than he really is. There, Emanuele Pirro, the 32-year-old Roman driver. Pirro made his first mark in motor racing karting. And you see Johnny Cecotto drives so smoothly, uses less of the road than the Audis, not bouncing it off on the curbs, and just to prove me wrong, uses the curb there, but only right at the exit of the corner. Steiner and FINA sponsored car, and proved me wrong again, bounced it off the curb. Bit of two-wheeling from Johnny. Very popular with the team. Goes past me again to complete lap number 26 of 31. Pirot still in second place. Biela still in third place. The lap times now down in the 13s, tyres wearing. The gap between Cecotto and Biela, 4.38 seconds. Well, does Frank Biela have anything up his sleeve now? I think the question is in the negative. I think Biela has tried absolutely everything to try and hold on to this title, which he led from the first round until Spa just a couple of weeks ago. Of course, had he not holed the sump there, the whole situation would have been different. This second place might just have been good enough to win the championship, but there are no ifs in motor racing. Frank Biela knows that. Blonde, angular driver, very fit. And you see that bit of bodywork still flapping about. Frank Biela likes the American Detective Series Colombo, pasta, likes Coca-Cola, likes the sunshine, and is a great fan of jet skiing. Well, still Frank in third place, does nothing he can do about it. Johnny Cecotto, after lying in second place early on, managed to find his way past Emanuele Pirot in that somewhat unorthodox manner across the chicane. Very nearly the whole plot went wrong there, but Johnny able to collect it up and then start to pull away. And now the cars about to lap some of the slower men and see the battle a bit further down the field. Nissan had new engines this time. This is Capello. Capello currently lying in 5th spot. Capello has moved up, so just recap the positions. It is Cecotto still leading from Pirot, Biela, Capelli and Capello. And that is currently the battle we are seeing, Capello versus Capelli. There's the man leading the race, Johnny Cecotto. The gap now 3.1 seconds over Emanuele Pirot. The gap to Biela is series rival 4.53. The yellow car is Michael Hagert, who is sponsored by a merchant bank and has the most marvellous colour scheme on that car with banknotes of various different countries painted all over it. It's a work of art. Now Bruno Eichmann gets the flashing lights from Johnny Cecotto. Bruno Eichmann in the private Mondeo. The Swiss who started his career in a Mini. He's in 14th place, and Cecotto twitches as he finds a way past the front-wheel drive Mondeo, and the team will definitely be running 4-wheel drive next year. At least they'll test it and see if it's better than the 2-wheel drive. The Mondeo, it has to be said, something of a disappointment in this series. At the end of last year, Mondeo looked so competitive, the Andy Rouse prepared cars. And with Thierry Boutsen driving Mondeo in this series this year, we expected some real fireworks from the Ford Empire, and we haven't seen them. I'm sure they'll put that to rights for next year. Yes, the series has been about Audi and BMW. Biela just that little bit closer to Pirot now. As I said earlier, suggestions that there will be as many as 10 of these Audis next year, and I suspect there'll also be 10 BMWs, and a grid maybe of in excess of 30 cars. Well, other manufacturers expected to join the fun and games, including, it is rumoured, Honda, who of course aren't in this form of touring car racing yet, apart from an experiment in Japan, and also Renault we expect to see. Alfa, of course, have a competitive car which would do well in this series, but in Germany are dedicated to the DTM. Well, Biela going past Bruno Eichmann and getting that a little bit closer to Emanuele Pirro. And I would suspect now that Pirro will wave past Biela to give Biela some fresh air to try and get at Johnny Cecotto. But, well, the flag is out and waiting, and it really does look as if Johnny Cecotto is going to win this title. Last year in Germany won the GT Championship in a BMW, a rather more powerful one than the one he's racing here, beating Honda amongst others. So Johnny Cecotto has had an interesting race, that one desperate moment at the chicane, marring an otherwise flawless drive. And is he going to get the checkered flag this time round? Yes, he is, and the checkered flag goes down, and Johnny Cecotto wins the race. He is the inaugural German Touring Car Cup champion. Johnny Cecotto for BMW is the winner. Obviously elation in the BMW pits, and Emanuele Pirro finishes second. Frank Biela has to be content with third place. So the cars filter back into the paddock. Confirmation there on our screen. Johnny Cecotto, the winner, from Emanuele Pirro, Frank Biela. And look at that, Capello up to fourth place, passing Capelli on the last lap. Obviously with the excitement to the front, we didn't see that great battle, but a superb drive by Capello. And drinks there for the BMW team.